Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com, located in the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever-darkening Denton Square. I am Michael LaCroix here tonight. I've actually never formally introduced myself, but I feel like with such a classy lady like yourself, you're dressed in the shawl and such, that I felt like I should go by my legitimate name tonight. So I'm here tonight with Jessica Curran. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you for coming tonight. We were kind of talking before the show, and Joe James is the one who kind of turned you my way, and next thing you knew, you sent me a message, and now you're here, and you're back in the States. So glad you got back safely. Happy to have you with us. So the very first question I'm going to ask is the question that I ask everybody when they first come on the show, and that is, what is your first musical memory?
Okay. Well, I actually grew up with my grandparents and my mother in Hanson, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And my grandfather is this super, not boisterous, flamboyant Irishman, I guess you could say. And anything that you remind him of a song, it could be like Celtic folk music or songs from the 30s or Broadway shows, he'll just start singing at the drop of a dime.
So your grandfather would basically just, if something reminded him of one of his Celtic folk songs, or did he turn like the subject matter at hand into a Celtic folk song?
Well, mostly it was just songs that he already knew.
Okay, yeah, because my dad always turned like washing the dishes into like a Frank Sinatra song. Or like Tony Bennett.
That goes around in my family too.
Okay. I was like, I'm hoping that this weirdness that I grew up with is something that other people are familiar with now.
Oh yeah.
So you grew up in Massachusetts. All right, cool. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've been to a lot of states, and actually Massachusetts is one that I've never been to. My dad went to Springfield College up in Massachusetts. So what was it like growing up in Massachusetts? Is it like, does the geography and just the feel of that area create a certain type of music that you would find there more often, or?
I don't know about that. I think, well, first of all, if you're going to go anywhere for the autumn, you got to go to New England and Massachusetts.
Okay.
And what I've been finding the past 4 years, I haven't been home to experience it. That's the thing that really, really makes you miss a place.
Okay.
For music, I grew up in a very small area where there wasn't much of a music scene, but I ended up finding, I wasn't really involved with music until I was about 17.
Okay.
And then when I was 17, I got picked up by a big band. So I was just singing with my high school jazz band, and I ended up in this band called Stage Door Canteen.
Stage Door Canteen. I like that name.
So we ended up going, all over Massachusetts, all over New England, and we even took a tour out to Chicago. But this is when I was 17 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy though, to do that at such a young age. That's wild. Okay, so how do you go from like, oh, I didn't really get involved in music, to all of a sudden, oh, I'm in a big band? Like, wait, what? Like, was your grandfather like a musical guy, grandmother or mother? Did anybody play music like in the house, in the family?
Well, the thing about my family, they call us, my mother's maiden name is Ryan.
Okay.
So everyone in that family just ends up singing all the time.
All right.
Harmonizing, and even if it's good or bad, But not many musicians. My uncle's a phenomenal musician. He's written a Broadway show,
Oh, nice.
or a musical. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But so he's the only real intense musician, but everybody can hold a tune at least.
Okay.
But when I talked about my grandfather singing these songs, when I got to the jazz band, I realized I was picking up some of the songs because of what I heard. I realize that now, but maybe at the time I didn't.
So what took you towards the direction of jazz, as compared to all the other genres of music out there? What was it about jazz that attracted you?
Well, I think being in this big band was a big thing. I spent, at first it was just cool to sing, and then when it came time for college applications and things like that, I started expressing interest to my band members. There's 15 of them. They call themselves my uncles.
Yeah.
But so I think each of them decided to help me in some way, even if it wasn't actual lessons. Everybody was trying to get me to improvise more and I don't know, get ready for these college auditions. And I ended up at UNT because of it. But I think slowly I started to become really attracted to this fresh approach to music.
Okay.
I mean, I had been interested in Broadway for a very long time. I loved musicals and all that. But I think there's something really special about jazz. It teaches you something that every time you start performing or playing, it doesn't have to be the same. You can approach it with the mentality that you're in right now. You can bring that to various places in your life, but playing music in the moment, doing what you feel rather than making it sound a certain way, it's a really special thing.
Very cool. Yeah, I like the way you put that. So I'm still interested though. So like, when did you start singing? Because it's not like one day you just woke up and you're like, oh, I'm going to be in a big band and I'm 17 and now I'm just going to do this. So like, what was kind of the evolution of getting to be in this position where you're playing in a big band?
Okay. As I said, I was involved in theater, but not very much. There wasn't a lot of musical opportunities, but what I had, I would love to do. I would always do like the talent show and whatever, but it wasn't a very serious thing. And then it really was a huge turning point to be picked up by Stage Door. 'Cause all of a sudden I went from singing, because it was fun to singing seriously.
Yeah, and so you said, who is Stage Door?
Stage Door Canteen. That's
okay.
The big band.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. I wrote that down. Okay. Cool. At first, it's like Stage Door. Is that like a company or something?
It's easier to say too.
So that's really cool. Well, how did you go about getting picked up by these guys? Like, the uncles.
In high school there was a jazz band, and I was singing with the jazz band.
Okay.
And the leader, Roger Gamache, I say that with my Boston accent. He came to help the saxophone section, and I was invited down to Falmouth to go play with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Next thing you know, you're touring around. You're going to Chicago. That's really cool. I remember we had a while back, we had a guy on the show named Richie Flo, and he had gone on tour when he was like 14 to Europe on just some like random thing. He was like, yeah, I just got this show and I rapped at the show, and then the guy invited me to go to Europe. And
See, that's the dream.
I was like, how did this? I just rapped and all of a sudden I'm in Europe.
Everyone, I've been in Europe for the past 2 years, and what I find is that everyone's like, oh, you're an American singer. Everybody wants to go on tour with you. I'm like, okay, bring it.
yeah, exactly.
But I haven't found it yet.
Oh, darn.
Come on, when is that going to start?
Yes, come on. When is the stereotype going to work out? Fine. So why voice? Why the instrument voice?
Well, I can't really play anything else. No, I mean, I've always loved singing, and as I said, it's part of my family, and I don't know, it's just always been a part of me.
Very cool. All right. Like I said, I grew up with my dad always singing, and there was always music playing in the house. So like the one side of the house, there'd be what my dad was listening to, and then you walk through the living room and where my brother's rooms were, and there'd be, something else playing in there that was completely different. So I completely understand the music just being a part of the family stuff.
Yeah, I remember, I have my first musical memory,
all right.
My very first one. My mom tells me this all the time. I graduated from preschool. They did like a fake graduation with the hats and everything.
Excellent, yes.
And we all had to do a little performance. And I went up with 2 other girls, and we sang like Down by the Bay. And I guess I didn't notice, but I guess the other 2 girls weren't even singing, basically. And it was just me like, have you ever seen a fly? So I
can see the show tunes coming out.
Oh, yeah.
She's ready to go.
Just made for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And then you suddenly find your way to Denton. So what made you want to come to school in Denton?
So after high school, when I was still with the big band, I decided to take time and audition for some schools. And
Okay.
I didn't really know much about the mechanics of jazz or how to play piano or anything else. And so I ended up taking a year off to learn, more songs and how to do it and audition. So I auditioned all over the country to 10 schools, and I ended up really falling in love with UNT. And I thought it was, UNT's got a great reputation for jazz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny because UNT is like very Texas, and then the jazz department is people from all over the world.
Yeah. I remember when I graduated from there, and when I took like some of the music history classes and stuff like that, there was always one of my TAs was like real snooty, and he would be like, "You guys see that new football stadium they built over there?" Because we don't have one of the top jazz programs in the world. So yeah, the music program's always very eclectic.
Yeah.
It brings people from all. But that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Because every time I talk to somebody who's a jazz performer, very rarely are they from like right here. They might be from Texas in a way, but most of the time they've moved here from somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's great that like y'all as accomplished musicians continue to come back, and continue to perform here. It kind of says something special about that family and that
People
jazz
stay
scene.
here forever.
Yeah, for sure. So what was it like for you, like studying up there? Once you decided, hey, this is where I'm going to go. What were your experiences like?
Yeah. So my first or second week, I went out to go see, my friend. I had just met a couple friends, and I went to go see them play when Banter was still around.
Okay, cool.
And I went to go see them, and instead of it, it was just the normal college band thing, but the level of music coming out of this band was amazing. And then I went to go see the 1 o'clock perform the same week, and I just cried. It was I had never previously heard music of such caliber, and yeah, it was just a really cool experience to be here. And speaking of people from all over the world, my first day, where all the jazz students sat together, somebody was like, "Who thinks they're the farthest away?" And I was like, "Me! I came from all over across the country." And it's like, "Oh, Korea."
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, is it like I said once again? I mean, I've been to Vermont. I've been like to Maryland. I've been all over, but that area. I've been to New York, but I've never made it to Massachusetts. I've never made it to Boston. But like, is it like a culture shock coming from that?
A little bit.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a little bit different in mentality, but the thing is, we live in a little hippie town anyway.
Yeah. So precisely.
So it gets a little more in tune with what I.
Yeah, exactly. Some people say it's the biggest small town you've ever been in, or
yeah.
the smallest big town. You can get anywhere on a bike in 18 minutes. Anywhere you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Okay, so you come here, you go to school, and then you do this wild thing and decide to go to Europe. Tell me about that. So
my third year, I decided to apply for a study abroad.
Okay.
And I had heard from a couple other people who had done it. There was an exchange program to a school in Stockholm called Kungliga Musikhögskolan.
Ah, exactly.
Hello,
yes.
Sweden.
My favorite Swedish school of music.
No, so it's the Royal College of Music in Stockholm. And we've had people here from that school and vice
awesome.
versa. So I just decided to go out on a whim and get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And it's always been one of my biggest dreams to travel. So I thought, I'll do one semester, I'll come back, and I'll have the best recital ever at UNT. But I ended up being really inspired when I was there, and I decided to stay the year, and then something changed in me, and I felt like the opportunities led me to transfer to the school. So I ended up finishing my degree in Stockholm.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is the first time I'm coming back and playing my music. So
very
it's really
cool.
fun.
That's exciting. So is there a lot of once again, I'm not afraid to ask the questions here.
Yeah.
Is when you were writing the album, were these songs that were taken from one country to another country? Did Sweden, in a way, did living in Stockholm influence your music in a different way than other places had?
Well, so the general idea of the album was that it's kind of a story.
Okay.
I think the first 2 songs were written in Denton, and actually I didn't start writing music until I got to UNT.
Okay.
My first year, I found a couple friends, and we started jamming with my little ukulele.
What was the name of that group?
We met at Sweetwater, which is now Agua Dolce.
Yeah. Things have changed.
It's so fancy now.
My favorite thing is it's still named Sweetwater, just the Spanish.
Yeah, I know. It's just a
version
Spanish
of that. That's what I love.
So we met there, and we decided to name ourselves Sweetwater. So,
oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cute. I played my little ukulele and wrote about birds.
What every college girl does, right?
Yeah. You got to have it. But I'm so thankful that I started, because when I went to Sweden, all of a sudden it was like, I'm in a new country. You have to be yourself.
Yeah.
If you go to a place that's totally different, you have to be yourself, or you're not going to make friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to go out. You have to put yourself out there, or you're just going to be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
So going there, some of the songs are written about different experiences I had all over Europe, but a lot of them are the change from being comfortable and being unconfident and, kind of not knowing who I was to finding myself through this experience. But what I decided to do was take elements from the places I went to and like use their folk instruments or use their rhythms.
Very cool.
And things like that. So I went to Ireland to go visit family that I had never met before, and I spent Christmas with them. And track 6 on the album is called, oh, sorry, we haven't gotten to that yet.
No, go ahead. This is your album.
So I wrote a song called Belonging.
Okay.
About that experience in Ireland, and I decided and how being around people that you don't know but are considered your blood, and then I went and I just, everything about them, I could relate to. It's so strange. They were distant family, but, I still connected with them and found a lot of confidence through that. So I wrote a song about that and used the Irish whistle in the song, and based it off of the Irish drum. And
very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I like how you kind of like taking different rhythms from different places. I think that definitely helps to expand your music in general, and it helps definitely for an audience to not only be exposed, but if somebody happens to in that audience like already appreciates those type of rhythms or those type of instruments, now you've gained yourself like one of those like unique followers where they thought this was their niche, and now somebody else is also a part of that.
It's also a little complicated sometimes, because if you're taking music from around the world and trying to make it different in a way, it doesn't really fall into like a specific category.
Yeah.
So I just call myself jazzy pop.
Yeah. Yeah. I think nowadays music from all over the world is so accessible.
Oh yeah.
That it is hard to. Labeling your own music is one of the hardest things to do. Like it. I can label mine, but I have to think about it, I'm like, well, it's got this influence and this influence and this influence and this influence, but I don't want to have like 4 different names for my music. That's not necessary.
Jazzy pop folk world.
Yeah. Jazzy pop worldly folk stuff, it's just a hint of hip hop in there somewhere. I'm sure. And so
sprinkle of soul.
Yeah. And so what is it like? Because once again, I've never been to Europe. So I did a lot of traveling when I was younger, but I never made it to Europe, and I didn't make it to Boston. So you're way ahead of me here. This is unfair. We'll have to discuss later where you haven't been, so I can.
Yeah, and then you can trump me on that one.
I can feel better. All right, I can feel better. All
yeah.
right. So what are those plane rides back? Like when you got back, like when did you get back from Stockholm? Did you like just fly in last night and you're sitting here with jet lag and just not saying anything?
I still think I'm a little jet lagged
okay.
because some nights I sleep and some I don't.
okay.
But I got back to the States, I guess, last Tuesday.
All right.
I went home, did an interview, showered and slept, and then I went to New York.
Nice.
And then from New York, I played a show with I just saw that you had Horace Bray here last year.
Yes.
I mean, last week, right?
I don't know if Horace. Well, I had him here. Actually, it was last year. But it would have been this time. So he might have been in the studio. Did Horace sneak his way in here and I didn't know?
I thought he was with Leon Carlo.
Oh, okay. He was in with Leon Carlo. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
so I just played a show with him in New York.
Okay.
So yeah.
No, Horace is a good man. I interviewed him on this show a long time ago. There was a place, or there's J&J's Pizza over there, and their basement closed down. And I was there that night, and I was leaving, and I decided that I would go up to Pascal's because my buddy was like, "It's jazz night." I was like, "Oh, cool, I'll go check that out." Well, I had never seen anybody play the guitar like Horace had played it, that way, and I was just like, "What?" And I immediately went up and talked to him, and he probably thought I was crazy, but he ended up in an interview.
I'm sure he gets it.
Yeah, he ended up in an interview on this show. So that's the other thing. That's what I love. It's like, oh, hey, Horace is living in New York. You played a show with Horace. Now you're on this show. Horace was there. Now you're playing.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing with Leon Carlo. Who knows who? Oh man, who knows how many people we know through
yeah,
those
but you
random
got
connections.
I mean, Denton is such a special place, and the music scene is unlike any other. So I mean, and then people spread out, and then you can keep up with these people from all over.
It's a lot of fun up here.
Yeah.
I will say that. I've played in Austin, I've played Dallas and all that stuff, but I truly enjoy playing up here in Denton. It's a great time. So you're back now, safe, which is awesome. The jet lag is starting to wear off. Yeah, exactly. The jet lag is starting to wear off, which is a good thing because you have got a little show, a show coming up tomorrow. It is your release party for your album.
Yes.
So we've discussed the album a little bit. What is the album called?
The album is called Here. Right. And it's 7 songs, pretty much cataloging the journey I had starting here.
Yeah, okay.
And I told you, not really having much confidence in oneself. And then throughout the album, I mean, you can pay attention if you want to about...
You could listen.
You could listen. About finding oneself. I think there's a little more confidence with each of the steps. But so here is the title track on the album. It's track 5. Yeah, 5.
Okay.
And it's that decision to say I'm strong enough by myself to be able to stay and continue on as an independent person.
Very cool. Very cool. So what kind of inspired you to start? You said you didn't start to write music until you moved to UNT. What got you inspired to start writing an album? Because it sounds like this is more of a concept album. Like this is a story. This flows together. Yeah. This is meant to be listened to in one piece. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it started that way.
Carly Reese says,
"Oh my gosh, there's people." Hi, Carly.
Yes. Hey, Mindy. What's up? She'll be on the show in like 2 weeks.
Hey.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I don't think it started that way.
Okay.
I think it just started as like little moments. And then as you listen, I think you can, I mean, for me, it turned into like a chapter of my life. And, and over there I met a lot of fellow students. They have a really great recording facility and program that teaches the students how to record and mix and well, maybe not master, but so I met a really great guy named Martin Axelson. He was studying at the school, and we decided that we were going to do this. It started off as an EP. I was like, oh, okay, I got a couple songs. And then as I was thinking about it, I started getting really inspired to take all my favorite ones, because it seemed like when I got to Stockholm at first, I was just like, write a song all day, all day, every day. So I took the ones that I thought were really important to the chapter, outlining the chapter of my life in Stockholm. We ended up, making the full thing. So
all of a sudden, I had a 7-track album.
Yeah, but we took our time with it, and we learned a lot. It took over a year and a half to do, because
very nice.
I think as you progress as a musician, you can't just leave things as they were. At some point, you have to.
Yeah.
So I decided to go back and arrange things for traditional instruments and all those things. So there's one song on the album called Upright, where it takes flamenco-based rhythms from south of Spain, and then it has a traditional nyckelharpa, which is a Swedish instrument that you have to really use your imagination to picture here. It's like this big. It sits on your lap.
Okay.
And it has about 16 strings, and you press buttons and play it with a bow.
Wait, what? How does
right?
What is this item? Like, how does it even
He's
work?
Hold
on.
Yeah,
now. I'm looking it up right now. How do you even spell it? You said nyckelharpa?
Nyckelharpa. It's N-Y.
Hold on.
C-K.
N-Y-C-K.
E-L.
Oh, it's the second.
It's
the second thing that.
Nyckelharpa for sale.
I'm trying to find one for sale. This thing sounds. Oh, this thing is so Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty amazing. It's like a mix of a violin and a keyboard.
Yeah, it sounds really amazing.
I want to know how this thing sounds. If you can't see,
actually, the first picture you just clicked on, that's the guy who recorded. He's one of the most well-known nyckelharpa players in Sweden. His name is Erik Rildval, and he's really kind. And we just met at like a jazz jam one night. He's a really incredible player.
It's like some guy was like, I like the guitar, and some guy's like, I like the violin. I was like, well, let's compromise and put them together. Okay, why not? That worked. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. If you look at it from the right angle, it almost looks like a Viking ship.
Are you posting these online? Is there a way to?
I mean, I think, not at the moment.
No,
but,
okay.
Yeah,
it's pretty
that
Viking.
Thing's cool. You guys gotta look it up. That thing's pretty sweet. I approve of that instrument for sure. The more of that's used, the better, I say.
Yeah.
Let's get some nyckelharpa going on in Denton. Right? We've been slacking on the nyckelharpa.
Anna, get on it.
That is lacking. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, cool. So, were there any other different, interesting instruments that you used like that? Right there.
Well, the Irish flute.
Okay, cool.
Well, Irish whistle. I tried to get the Irish drum, but it didn't seem like there was going to be that opportunity in Stockholm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those were the most interesting ones.
Yeah, definitely. I was
the other parts
quite
are,
impressed.
Standard rhythm section, and then I wrote a bunch of string quartets and had some horns. It was a big endeavor.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, anytime you're writing, like I do a lot of sample-based music and stuff, but anytime I sit down and write my own song, it takes such a long time. And just like you said, like as you're writing and as you're progressing, you're getting better, and then you go back and you listen to one, and you're like, "Oh, we could change that up. Just let's do this instead
go
of
back
this instead."
And change it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of like advice from one person, and you have another person listen to it, and they hear something that you never heard, and then all of a sudden you hear exactly what they're talking about. So, yeah, that process never ends. But we've got the release party. The actual release party. So tell me about what we've going on. Where is it? When is it?
So tomorrow night from 9 to 12.
Tomorrow.
Oh, no, sorry. 9 to 1 a.m. because I'm going on at 12. Don't leave at 12. At Andy's Bar.
Yeah.
Can I see it from here? Is it right
If you
there?
had a good enough lean. Yeah, I mean, we can see the corner. It's there.
Over there.
It's over there.
It's on the square.
Yeah, it's that way.
So we're doing a big show. And it's starting at 9, and we got Reinventing Jude.
All right.
And then 10:30 we got Leon Carlo, who we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Amazing violinist.
Yeah, that guy.
Actually, Leon Carlo's maybe. I'm not giving away this surprise, but maybe he'll play a song or two with us. Maybe he'll pretend to be Nyckelharpa.
Oh man. I've already ordered one on Amazon, and I have Prime, so it's gonna get here tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah.
It'll be here just in time.
Have fun tuning.
Yeah.
There's like 16 strings.
There's got to be a tutorial on YouTube that can help me out.
Yeah. So I'll be selling my albums and my band. We just rehearsed today.
Awesome.
We will be playing from 12 to 1.
Who is in the band?
It's all my friends from when I went to UNT.
Not
all of them. I had to choose.
35 people are in this band.
Yeah. You know? So Chris Pietro was actually in Sweetwater, that first band that I had. I showed him my first song ever. He and I wrote some songs together. We're going to perform one of the songs that we wrote together tomorrow, and he's playing drums. We got Alex Kishiyama on keys. We got Skylar Hill on guitar. Brandon Broussard on bass.
Okay, I was like, if there's not a name in this band that I don't know, I'll be amazed. But Brandon right there, I do know that guy, and I recognize Skylar, but who knows? But yeah, Brandon's good people, an amazing bassist. I've seen him perform quite a few times.
They're all amazing musicians. So
yeah.
It's really fun too, because the scene here is such a different scene from Stockholm. Okay. So the album is all Stockholm-based musicians. And then when I play the music that I'm doing on the album here, it's a totally different vibe. And that, keeps the music alive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This thing about, approaching jazz or approaching music in the moment way with a fresh take. It's really heightened. So
that's awesome.
Anything could happen tomorrow.
Who knows? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh my gosh.
Edge of my seat. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll make it out. Maybe
you never know. It might be the coolest thing you've ever done in Denton.
Yeah, the coolest thing you've ever done in Denton. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a really fun night. You said the music starts at 9?
Yep. Music starts at 9.
And it goes until 1. Woo! It's going to be one of them late nights, kids.
There's an event on Facebook.
Okay.
And I think you can look it up through Andy's Bar, but there's you can pre-order the tickets.
Okay,
and
cool.
That's a little bit cheaper than buying them at the door.
Right on.
But for 18 to 21-year-olds, it's going to be 7 for pre-sale and I believe 10 for at the door, and then 21 up, it's 5 online and 7 at the door.
All right, cool.
So you can look up the Facebook event. It's under Jessica Curran album release, Leon Carlo, Reinventing Jude. So look that up. And all the link is there.
All right. Now, if people want to hear the music, where can they go?
Well, you can either go to my website. It's www.jessicacurran.com, where you can buy my album. It'll link you to the CD Baby site. But it's also streaming on all the major services.
Okay.
You can find it on Spotify, Jessica Curran here. So,
all right. Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. And so I have one final question for you. It's the most intense question of the night. What is, and I ask it to everybody, so you're not the first one that you put on the spot under this pressure. Okay. What is your favorite snack?
Oh, man. That's a hard one.
Yep.
What do I like to eat for snacks? Yeah. I've been surrounded by Swedish pastries for
the
past 2 years. So.
Darn.
Cinnamon buns. Oh man, what do I snack on? Just chocolate.
That works just
Anything
fine.
Chocolate.
Oh, that's perfect.
But now that I'm back in the States, there's so much sugar everywhere. Yeah. It's
great. There's goldfish too.
Oh. Or mac and cheese.
Oh man, all the bad stuff. Oh man. Oh, that's awesome. Well, folks, tomorrow night, starting at 9 o'clock. Make sure you get to Andy's Bar to see Reinventing Jude, Leon Carlo, and Jessica Curran is the album release party for her album Here. She is just back in the States. I highly recommend you guys go and check that out. If you are just now tuning in, you can go back and rewatch the interview. It is posted on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you check that out, guys. Actually, next week, I've got another jazz vocalist by the name of Luke Meadows. And he performed with Body English last weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to talk to some more.
Meet him tonight, probably.
Oh, he's a cool guy. He was awesome. I couldn't believe it. He could sing. He was singing. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jess, thank you again so much for coming on the show
you.
and working with our schedules and everything. We had to move some stuff around, but we greatly appreciate it. Is there anybody you'd like to say hi to? You know, you never know. You could.
I don't know if I haven't seen you yet. I have so many friends that I want to see. Come to the show tomorrow. I would love to see you. I ran into some people this week, but there's
so
still
if you
more.
haven't seen her, come to the show.
Yeah, please. I'm only here for the weekend.
Oh, good. And then where do you go?
And then I'm back to Boston.
Woo!
Playing a couple shows there.
Man, wild out here. You're crazy, traveling all over the place. Well, Jessica, thank you again so much. Appreciate you coming on. Folks, make sure you tune in next week. I've been talking to Jessica Curran. Check out her album. It is called Here. It is available on her website, jessicacurran.com, and on all your major streaming platforms. Folks, make sure y'all tune in next week to Sound Values. I've got Luke Meadows. He is a jazz vocalist. Folks, once again, thank you for tuning in with us. Stay chill, stay tuned in right here on DentonRadio.com. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.